All right, we're back for another week of Big Brother madness. So this week has been pretty awesome. We actually interviewed Clay.
Yes, Mr. Honeycutt. Join the honeycomb.
If you guys want to see that interview, click right here. And as always, this week we'll be doing our best and worst, where we talk about the best and worst game moves, best and worst, things that people said, and best and worst things that happened this week. We'll also be doing our Big Brother stock tips, players on the rise, players on the fall, and as always, we'll be doing our Lawyer Up segment, where Kevin and I will defend a house guest who is currently on the block.
Yes, but first, Nick, it is the double eviction episode of our show here.
What?
By the end of this show, 2 hosts will be kicked off because it's double eviction. I didn't tell you that part. It's double eviction night on the
I wasn't
show
prepared
tonight.
for that, but
Yeah.
Kev, you do realize that if we do that, then we don't have a show.
Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe
we should veto that portion of it.
I like that. It sounded great, though.
It did. I was a lot of suspense. I was totally into it.
Well, then, there would be no show. That's a good point, but they did do a double eviction on the show here. We'll get to that in a second. But first, since we saw you guys last time, good old Becky won HOH. And her entire plan that week was to go after Vanessa. She put Shelly, she put Steve up on the block with this backdoor plan that she was gonna try to have one of them pull themselves down.
And it looked really good.
It did. It was humming along. It was working really well. Steve won the veto, and the BB comics. There were some really interesting comic heroes. Like they had the blanket with Audrey with the blanket, Otter and the glasses, Johnny Mac with the drill. Fun. It was a fun veto ceremony. Steve pulls himself off, and sure enough, she puts up Vanessa. You think Shelly's on the block, Vanessa's on the block. You think bye-bye, Vanessa. You think she's going home.
But that's not what happens at all.
That's not what happens.
Shelly goes home 9-1.
Flipper. The house flipped.
As the viewer, we didn't see a whole lot of that. What happened?
I was waiting until Sunday's episode. I'm like, surely on Sunday's episode they're going to explain how the house flipped. No, it's in the same spot that the BB takeover is, Nick. It's existing in that same spot. I guess it's gone. We don't know. But
it's in Paradise CBS land. Where they're just hanging out drinking coconut water on a tropical island.
The house flipped. We have no idea why, and sent Shelly packing.
Yeah, they did. It was crazy.
And then we get to the double eviction, which we're not going to do. Both of us will be here for the entire show, but it was double eviction night, and Steve again. Steve wins another HOH.
I mean, the guy's kind of like a wild card, you don't really know what to expect from Steve. And then I don't think he even wanted to win.
That's what he said, yeah.
We saw that quite a few times. He even told us, the viewer, to the camera, I shouldn't have won that comp. This was not the right comp for me to win. And, either way, he did win.
It was the Get Loopy comp. I feel like if there's a comp that Steve maybe should win, I feel like it should be down to Johnny Mac and Steve in the Get Loopy comp. Because he's just, that guy is around the house flirting with robots, singing, talking to himself.
So he ends up nominating Jackie and Meg.
Yeah.
But then Johnny Mac turns around and wins the veto, but then doesn't use it. Now, we get into this later, but him not using it definitely changed the game. And so Johnny Mac, I understand, was totally, saving his game on this one, but he chose not to. And the course of the game drastically changes after this.
And the nominations were very surprising.
Yeah.
Steve, you figured at least Steve is putting up Becky. I'm not sure who else it's going to be, but it's going to be Becky. And she wasn't nominated. He had heard at one point that maybe sort of Jackie might be going after him.
Maybe.
So he targets Jackie. Really bizarre.
Yeah.
Really strange.
And then, sure enough, Jackie is evicted. That's
Bye-bye,
it.
Jackie.
Game over. And I think everyone was blindsided by that. Even as a viewer, I was like, really? Wow. I really didn't see that coming at all. And then everyone inside the house was also thinking the same thing.
No, nobody.
What? I was eating, corn pops with her earlier this morning, and she's gone now.
She's gone.
That's it. Gone. Out of the house.
Yeah.
Bye, Jackie.
Steve and his incredible acting ability. He's now in Los Angeles, inside the house.
Yes. And
put on an incredible performance of tears after it was done. Only 50% acting.
Right.
So.
He said 50% acting. So, I'm thinking, I need to get on the phone right now, call a manager, call an agent, and be like, I have a guy for you. Not only does he, have this, immense PR bubble that's working behind him, he's currently on the hottest CBS show, Big Brother, during the summer, but his acting chops, I'm telling you, are pretty good. If that was 50%,
If you have a script right now where you need a robot to break up with a human being and you need the human being to cry, Steve's your guy. He's the guy you got to reach out to.
It's like Terminator 6, maybe. You know, this is like a
the
love story. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reincarnation of like, I'm not here to kill you. I'm here. I'll be back for your heart and your love.
You know what? We should be.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Why are we telling people down? I know people are going to steal this incredible idea. But he whined and cried his way into the hearts of Liz, the twins, Austin. It seemed like that side of the house, and it was time for the mixed emojis HOH competition,
which is pretty cool because they're like incorporating like social media. You know what I mean? Like I like that. Like people use emojis, you know, not only for texting, but like specifically for like, you know, for like Snapchat and like it's fun and it's like gives another way of communication. So I'm proud of CBS for taking that leap.
Nice job, CBS.
Yes.
We definitely rail on you at certain times, but nice job for being modern.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't know if you caught this. Meg, when she won her first matchup, she did raise the roof. So she brought the competition. They were being very progressive, and she brought the competition back into, what, the 90s maybe? Is that when that was cool?
Well, the house is on fires. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it's time to raise the roof.
So Meg raised the roof. She ended up not winning, unfortunately, though. And sure enough, who do you think? It was down to Liz and down to Johnny Mac. I imagine everybody viewing is like, oh, well.
This is obvious.
Johnny Mac's got this.
He's a dentist. He has a doctorate.
Yeah.
He's a man of medicine. You think this would have been so simple. But sure enough, Liz
wins it.
She takes it.
Unbelievable. I mean, I think it was Liz. It might have been Julia. We talked about before. Like, how can you tell the difference in the house?
Actually,
so
what's happening?
They're telling us Liz won, but that might be the BB takeover.
Is it?
Or was it? Yeah, I don't know.
And then right after that, there's this like strange sort of thing happening between Steve and James. It's like kind of this little sidetrack. We're not really sure what's happening. I mean, you saw it, right?
I love all the edits. Yes, I did see it. And it's strange to CBS sometimes where they'll drop something in where they're like, by the way, Austin loves flowers. And he's named a flower inside the house. And he lies with the flower every day. And you're like, what? I've been watching the show for months.
When did that happen?
So apparently there's this bromance between Steve and James. And every time they show Steve up to this point, he's flirting with trash cans, with faucets, with refrigerators. He apparently has an
automatic faucet. Yeah. It has to be, a robot, a machine.
There's a real person that apparently has stolen his heart. We had no idea. James and Steve. Bromance brewing. And
had there been another Outback Steakhouse outing, maybe it would have been him and not Clay.
Well, there's no more Clay to invite, so it's got to be his new bromance partner.
And then, and all this working, and all this like, ups and downs and whatnot. Then we get to this new alliance. It's called the Scamper Squad, of which we learned last week, again, in our interview with Clay, that this word scampering around the house, actually just refers to someone who goes from like, party of people to party of people. And so it's kind of like a BB-17 word. That's kind of like a new thing. So it's very fitting, the Scamper Squad. But just
check out our interview with Clay. There was a lot of really good stuff. It
was awesome.
But what was funny, I don't know if you saw this, like a minute before that, there was Austin's Angels that was formed. It was literally, it's the same people plus Steve. Austin's Angels is formed.
Yes.
And then you get into the Scamper Squad. So.
And then directly after the Scamper Squad, we have Vanessa, who's essentially like the head of this whole, snake, more or less, trying to clear the air with Johnny Mac. It's the one person who is like a really viable threat on the other side of the house, right? And so she goes in there to basically tell Johnny that she's not a bully. But she ironically bullies Johnny Mac into trying to tell him that she's not a bully. And it results in Johnny Mac essentially saying, "You're a bully." And then she leaves.
Nick, I'm not a bully, all right? You say I'm not a bully.
Better not repeat that to anybody. And she immediately goes up into the HOH room and emotionally starts telling the HOH Liz about what happened. And then, just as fate would have it, Johnny Mac comes right up behind her and kind of announces to the already skeptical Liz about, Vanessa and her doings that, they just had a conversation. Good move on Johnny Mac. Very hard to watch. It was really
you never see that though on the show. I like that. Like I've seen moments like that before, and players like Johnny Mac will step into the HOH room and then leave. But it was cool. Johnny Mac's like,
I'm here now.
We were just talking downstairs. It's kind of awkward now that you're right up here.
I like
that he called her out a little bit.
I love that he called her out. I was like, yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that you're talking like this now. Now that we just talked like this, and you're here now. Yeah, that's weird.
And he gave us a little on the way out too, which was
I guess I'll leave. It was so good.
It was very nice. And then ultimately, as you said, we'll see if that was a good move on Johnny Mac's part or not, because he was nominated along with Becky. Liz put both of them on the block, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes from here.
Still a J-Mac fan.
How can you not be?
That was our week in review.
It is time for the best and worst moments from this week in Big Brother. Nick and I will give you our best and the worst moments here that happened. So first, one of the best moves that happened here in the past week was Vanessa finding a way to keep herself safe. Now, Big Brother and CBS has not told us entirely how this happened. It seemed like maybe Shelley was a bigger threat. That's why they got rid of her. But it was interesting that they didn't tell us how that happened. So somehow she found a way to stay in the house, but we don't know how.
She's just still in the house. And it's like, there. Even when you think that it's time for her to go and the house is against her, she's still there. How?
I wish they had showed how she, and maybe it wasn't her doing, but if it was her doing, I would like for her to get the credit, at least, from the viewers and see how she flipped the house, because that would be a pretty epic Big Brother move in the history of Big Brother if she was, again, kind of like Dan and some other players that have been dead in the water, found a way to stay. I mean, Becky had her right in her crosshairs trying to pull the trigger, and then they went to vote, and the house was flipped.
The only thing I can say is, like, from being in the house, once you have power players and you have, like, alphas, they tend to still call the shots, regardless, even if they're on the block. If you have someone in a position of power, they will continue to be in the position of power. I'd say after, like, the 4th or 5th week, that tends what happens. People like consistency. They like just saying yes and no. They don't really want to kind of stir the pot up. It's too much work. So she's in power. She's going to stay in power. Yeah. And so then we also have a best move. Okay, this is Steve's crying session. I know we mentioned it, but I just was so in love with it. It was so good.
Let's talk about it again.
Because I was so fooled. Like, I was sitting on the couch with Kev watching the episode, and I was thinking, oh, come on, man. Like, dude, no, you're on national TV. Don't do this to yourself. Like, all your friends at home now have to, like, tweet and, like, unfollow you. It's going to be bad. No. The music winded down, and then we saw that he was faking it. It was brilliant.
50% faking it.
I think he was, like,
you think the percentage was higher?
He was shortchanging himself there. He's a modest guy, right? I mean, he's going to school for Donia, all right? He's modest. I still give him slow clap applause.
It was great.
I thought it was brilliant. That's like 5 out of 5 stars you get for that performance. I was fooled. I think it was brilliant.
We were definitely fooled. And we pitched our movie idea for Steve earlier. There was another movie reference, and this was another best moment of the show. It had to be when James and Austin broke down the movie Titanic, and James said it's one of the best movies ever. And James and Austin, God bless them, figured out a way to save Leo's life. Nick.
Wait a minute.
Nick,
what?
Leo did not have to die in Titanic.
Are
he did
you
not
serious?
have to die.
I don't. How? What?
All they could have done. They rotate.
Oh my.
I know.
What? He would be on the raft when she's in the water, and when she's in the water, he's on the raft.
The whole movie, Leo would have lived.
Oh my God, dude!
Leo would have lived.
This changes history.
It changes everything.
This changes everything. Then where would the locket go? You know what I mean?
The locket would still be there. This is the whole movie history as we know it. Could have been altered if they had talked to James and Austin beforehand. So that was one of the best.
So those were all the best, right? But let me tell you some of the worst. Okay, Steve evicting Jackie. I'll tell you why it was the worst. Because he put himself in such a bad situation and didn't have to. He could have gone any which direction, the direction that I wanted him to go, which would have been evict Vanessa. Like, everybody would have been on board.
It's true.
Not a single person would have said no to this. But instead, he listens to Vanessa and then puts up Jackie and kind of, like, upsets, like, you know, the other, I would say more than the other side of the house.
Yeah.
Because she was a good person to keep around. So even for the people who are a part of the Sixth Alliance, they should be mad because they lost a weak player. Not the thing to do at this point in time.
I was surprised by that too. If he can stick on with this new alliance, the Scamper Squad, maybe it will kind of work out for him. But he was in over his head. Yeah,
and I think you know, even despite the acting, I think he knew that too. It was a bad move. Bad move. Shouldn't have done it.
Another worst move here this past week was, and like this hasn't officially happened, but it looks like there's a good chance that Liz could target Vanessa. One of the worst moves, I think personally. You disagree?
I 100% disagree because at this stage in the game, now that you've gone through all the chaos, right, in the beginning, you just go after the people who are physically strong players, right, and then people that stand out as either like turbo pawns or people that are like creating too much waves and just need to go. You know, everyone kind of does something that, you know, they kind of call for themselves to go home. At this point in the game, you have a solid side of the house, right? You have one side, the other side. Now is the time to get rid of all strong players. because you do not want to take the chance to get those strong players in the Final Four. You want to make sure that it's just you, numero uno, strong player, and then 4 people floating. Because those are people that you can convince to do your bidding. That's what you need.
It's a very interesting point. The argument that I will make for this, though, is that they're at a moment right now where the number one priority is numbers. It's a numbers game. You got one side of the house and you've got another side of the house. So regardless of Vanessa, her scheming, her plotting, you know she's a number for the Liz side of the house. All the people on the other side are targeting her. And if you keep her safe and say somebody on the other side of the house wins, the first person they're going to target is who? Vanessa. So you know you're safe.
When you eliminate strong players, you create a vacuum. And in that vacuum, you can convince other weaker players to come to your side. If they got rid of Vanessa, they could have a power alliance, they could target 2 people in a row, and if it were anyone else, let's say Johnny Mac, for example, because I'm kind of like vicariously playing through Johnny Mac, that if I was him, that's what I'd be putting in everyone's mind. Vanessa, 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 Vanessa. Take her out.
I worry right now for the Sixth Sense Alliance. Should they take one of their own, and should somebody like James win next week, take out Vanessa? Now it's down to Austin and the Twins, and they are vastly outnumbered.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
I mean, it could change if there was a power side. That's all I'm saying. Another worse move is Vanessa reacting emotionally after the conversation with Johnny Mac.
Now, no, hold on. She didn't cry again, did she, Nick? I'm sure that didn't happen.
It's like when you go to like a reptile park, you know what I mean? Like you read the description of like what like the actual animal does. Like this is like her thing. It's like lays on on ground dead, then strikes. Like it's like Vanessa's is like cries, then talks poorly about you, then schemes about you, then you go home. Like that's like
you could recognize her by beanie on head.
Exactly.
She's up there.
And let me tell you why this is the worst move. This is why this was the worst move. Because she emotionally reacted, and up until this point, she hasn't done a ton of emotional reaction. She's done a lot of like very strategic gameplay, but she emotionally immediately went to Liz, and I think because she's starting to feel that the alliance is sort of pulling away a little bit. They're not exactly 100% on board all the time. I think she's starting to feel a little isolation, so she's starting to react faster. Wrong move. You need to react actually slower in this point in time. And so by her doing that, and then Johnny Mac following up and kind of like, again, like showing someone like Austin that, hey, look, she is kind of out for herself, man. And so I think people are starting to catch on. I think that was a bad move.
I was surprised at how Johnny Mac handled it as well, because you have to assume that Vanessa's in power based on the way that it's been going. So it'd be very easy for him to just tell her what she wants to hear, be like, yeah, we're all set, because from the edit that we saw, she was trying to keep him safe. So had he played a little bit better, had he not said that she bullied him, then she probably would have gone up to Liz, and he might not be on the block.
I learned this from a tweet, okay, and I read it, so I can't get away from it. In the live feeds, there was a 45-minute conversation. We saw the cut-down version. And so in that 45-minute conversation, he actually told her, like, the whole way through that he was like, hey, man, like, no, it's all cool. Like, I'm not trying to, no upsetness in here. But the way that CBS cut it,
interesting,
they cut it like that. So Johnny Mac actually did do the right thing, and he really played it cool.
Man, you are a Johnny Mac guy.
I'm sorry, I'm a Johnny Mac fan.
You are beating the drum for Johnny Mac.
All J-Mac all day, every day.
That's
what's up.
So those were our best and worst moments here from this past week.
All right, in this segment, the Big Brother Stock Tips, Kevin and I, as your Big Brother financial advisors, will tell you which player to invest in and which players to sell. So I'm going to tell you right off the bat which player is on the rise.
Who should we buy?
Which player you want to buy? Buy. This would be Austin.
Ooh.
I know, it's not what you would think. He's kind of playing in the background. And here's the reason why you want to buy stock in Austin. He has 2 bodyguards, Liz and Julia, right off the bat. So he already has a buffer, right? He's like fine-tuned, well-working machine. He's making Big Brother profits, and he already has this buffer guard, right?
He's got employees, for God's sake.
Yes.
He's running a company with employees.
He has a business.
2 beautiful twins work for him.
Yes, and he is not in the hot seat. Vanessa is taking all the hits. He has like 3 layers of protection, right? He like already has the idea about how to navigate through Big Brother. He's already been in the hot seat himself, so he knows how to play defensively and how to play offensively. He has 2 employees out front, Liz and Julia, and then he's already got someone in his alliance who's doing all the, the stirring of the pot, which is Vanessa.
Yeah.
He's in a good spot.
You know what's hilarious about Austin is that how he does his little guitar move. So like he's a wrestler, but he's playing a wrestler game. He's got like, can you imagine them playing the Slayer, and he comes out from the curtain And I would imagine that he's got two beautiful women on either side of him, and they're twins walking down to the ring to wrestle. So it's like that he's a wrestler outside of the house, but he's a wrestler in the house because he's got two beautiful women on either side of him.
They're like ring girls.
Yeah, they are. That's what I'm saying. He's like two ring girls there. So
yeah. So buy
this company. Yeah,
buy his company.
Yeah,
invest in the company of Austin.
Player on the fall, and I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not because I know you beat the drum, but. Player on the fall, I'm going to say, is Johnny Mack. Now, I know, he has not been somebody that we have said sell so far, but now that the house is divided, after the conversation with Vanessa, regardless of what was said, he seems to be a target right now. He had a chance to win the HOH competition against Liz. He lost to Liz. This is really the first time this summer that I think Johnny Mack is actually vulnerable.
Can we just make a disclaimer here, though? He is a blue chip stock. Okay, full-blown. He's a great player. You'd want to invest in him at any point in time. It's just now, okay? He's like when BlackBerry started to peak a little bit, okay? You know he's solid. You know, he's not BlackBerry. He's not going anywhere. He's more like an Apple pre-iPhone, okay?
Wow.
You know he's good. You know he's been around for a while. It's just that he's showing signs of being in jeopardy. Okay,
people were dumping money into the Johnny Mack stock. We're just saying, you might want to hold off right here. You might want to not go in the backyard, not dig up the mayonnaise jar, not pull the money out to invest in Johnny Mack. Hold off a little bit right now. Do not buy. If you got some Johnny Mack stock and your friend wants to buy it at a high deal, sell some Johnny Mack.
That's what we're saying. We're saying if you're 72 years old and you're ready to vacation for the rest of your life, it's time to sell your Johnny Mack stock.
Yes,
it's still a very, very, very valuable stock.
Yes. Buy some Austin, sell some Johnny Mack and the BB Stock Tips. The house guests don't do a very good job of giving speeches and keeping themselves safe, so it is time for Nick and I to step up and defend the people on the block in the segment that we call Lawyer Up.
All right, it's getting
Lawyer
down.
Stuff ready.
Some business. All right.
Yeah.
I feel
you think lawyers do this? You think they roll in a courtroom very casually and they just announce that they're going to start and they just put ties on?
I don't think they put the ties on. I think they actually already have their ties on. Okay. I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm not a lawyer. So I don't even know.
I think this is exactly how it happens in a courtroom. So we've got Becky and we've got Johnny Mack on the block. Our ties look great tonight. It's great for both of us. You can see skin.
Yeah.
You can see
skin. That's a new trend.
Ties. Yeah, we'll see if this works.
Look like Chippendale.
We've got Becky and Johnny Mack on the block. Nick.
Yes.
Who would you like to defend?
I, of course, will be defending Johnny Mack.
I don't know why I asked. I should have assumed.
I don't know why.
Which means I am defending the beautiful Becky.
Okay. Would you like to go first?
Please.
Okay.
I know how much you would. I know you love Johnny Mack. I know you can't stand punch.
Your Honor. Johnny Mack is a simple man. At no point in this game has he been caught scheming, stabbing anyone in the back, or generally having ill will towards anyone. This is a guy that America is going to love, not only currently, but also after the show. Is this somebody that you really want to have blood on your hands sending
Objection.
home? Whoa, I used the word blood on your hands perfectly.
You used blood on your hands, which we talked about last week. We hear that too much this season, especially from Vanessa. All right. Let's get to Becky. I think, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I think you've forgotten. This woman was hit by a train.
That's right, yeah.
She was hit by a train. Now, trains travel speeds of 150 miles an hour.
That's what they do, yeah.
They weigh a lot. I don't know exactly.
Tons.
I don't know how much, but they're very heavy.
Yes.
And she was hit by it, where, you ask? In the face.
Ooh. Damn.
Now, I can't give you a lot of game reasons why Becky should stay. I think she should kind of go. But to do my job, my due diligence, my job as a lawyer, Nick,
absolutely.
This woman was hit in the face by a train. For some reason, because of what I said, keep her safe in the house.
Okay, and I just want to say this in my pre-closing statement, exactly what he said. Becky should go home. Because
hold on, wait a second. I didn't.
He didn't say that. He didn't. Well, yeah.
Indirectly, I said. Actually,
you know what? I'll focus on my client.
I'm going to object myself. I think I might have said that.
Yeah, objection to
I might have said that.
Johnny Mack is a lovable guy that makes everybody laugh, and America wants him to win. Thank you, jury and judge.
Here's the only thing I say: she was hit by a train. Trains are heavy. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
Jury, if you are smart, Johnny Mack is somebody that will win this game.
Oh, well,
if you have a chance to take him out now, because he is, I would say, an odds-on favorite to win the game. If he's up on the block, as Nick said, you got to take a shot at strong players. Becky is not a strong player. Becky's not going to win this game. She was hit by a train. If Johnny Mac, keep Becky safe. She was hit by a train.
Is that your closing statement, sir?
My closing words?
Yes.
Hit by a train.
Sure. I'm just going to say America's favorite.
Damn it.
Oh,
it's hard to argue with.
Yeah, God, he's so good.
That was our Lawyer Up segment. We'll see if our hard work did any help to help the house guests at all here once Eviction comes around in that segment that we call Lawyer Up.
All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you want to see the Clay interview,
it's a good one.
It was really good. Click right here. And Kev, where can we find you?
Find me at KevSoup or KevSoup.com.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Nick Uhas, and don't forget to subscribe to the main channel. That link is also below. And so this week, Kev, what's going to happen?
Some predictions?
What do you think is going to happen?
You know what? It's interesting. There are a number of ways it could go. If you ask me right now who's going home, I'm leaning maybe Becky.
Oh, okay.
Good target right now.
All right.
Liz, I think they want her gone. Other side wants her gone. I think Vanessa really wants her gone. Mm-hmm. And Vanessa's done a great job of puppet mastering. So I'd have to say Becky, but it could go either way. Obviously, the veto, it's going to be huge,
sure
as
enough.
it is every week.
Here's my prediction, but it's really more of a wish list. Okay? Here is what would happen. J-Mac wins the veto, pulls himself off the block, then goes into super incognito mode where he's somehow or another, like, not sparking any fear in the Sixth Sense. Somehow gets them to say, we don't like Vanessa. Vanessa goes up as the replacement, and out goes Vanessa. In comes Powerhouse Johnny Mac, sucks up all of the power of what was the Sixth Sense, so he's now controlling both sides of the house.
He sounds like the Drill, the superhero on the BB Comics thing. I think I like the way Vanessa's playing the game a whole lot more than you do.
I just based off of my experience in Big Brother, there was just certain people in the house that I had to interact with, and I see a lot of them in there, you know what I mean? Not saying names or anything.
Oh, that would be pretty good.
But I prefer Johnny Mac to take the cake.
We'll see what happens. It could go either way. Thank you so much for watching. We will be here weekly breaking down Big Brother. Got a lot of good stuff coming up on the show. We'll be here right here next week with a brand new episode. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. If you like this video, click here to subscribe. New videos every week.